Today we're reviewing the Valeton GP-5, a product that has both impressed and disappointed me for different reasons. The GP-5 came out in May of 2025 and I've been testing it for about a week now. I bought it with my own money and I'm pretty decidedly returning this one, but probably not for the reasons you think. The Valeton GP-5 is a full modeler with amps, effects and even NAMM captures, more on that later. That costs less than some tuner pedals and incorporates all these features in a standard mini pedal enclosure. The pedal is available today on Thomann for €79 and on Sweetwater for $79, and I paid about €80 on Amazon for mine. This review will be structured in 6 parts. We'll start off with build quality, then features, followed by amp sounds, effects, UI and software, and finally we'll answer the question, is this one for you? And as always, we'll begin this review with a 1-minute demo song recorded completely through the Valeton GP-5 that I fully mixed and mastered in Logic. And in this video, the demo is more high gain oriented, but don't worry, throughout the video I'll add multiple shorter sound demos with clean and overdrive sounds. And one last note before we begin, external IRs will be an important topic throughout this review, so I've made sure to include information about every IR used in every sound demo on screen, so you always know exactly what you're listening to. Alright, see you in a minute. I'm Gui Batista, and if you enjoy this type of content, please leave a like and subscribe. It's a great way to help the channel grow and I really appreciate your support. And if you're a Valeton GP-5 user, make sure to go download all the GP-5 presets I used in this video for free on my Buy Me a Coffee page. And note that these presets will not include the GGD Zilla cabs I used for the video. They will instead use the stock cabs. Hope you enjoyed them, and back to the video. Starting off with presentation, I must say I was a bit disappointed when I took the package out of the Amazon wrapping. The package the pedal comes in was already open, which is not a great sign, and the package itself is made of a very low quality cardboard. The only things inside the box were the pedal and the quick start guide, which makes for a pretty bare bones presentation. So no USB cable in the box, no power adapter and no battery. And as I started to play around with the pedal, I realized the build quality is actually great. The 2 knobs are very high quality, the foot switch is great and the whole enclosure is made of aluminum, I think, and the screen has great contrast and colors. So surprisingly, for about $80 you get a very well built pedal. Honestly, the build quality on this unit reminds me of products twice as expensive or even more. The USB and power ports are also very sturdy. To recap, the presentation of the product was pretty bare bones, but the build quality is surprisingly good, even when compared to much more expensive units like the TONEX one. The feature set on the GP-5 is very extensive and mostly very good. This pedal can do a lot more than you'd expect from a unit in this form factor. First off, it packs 32 amp models for both guitar and bass, 100 different effects, more on that later, 50 included NAMM captures with space to accommodate 30 more, and room for 20 custom IRs, on top of the stock cabs that come with the unit. There's a free Valeton Suite app for both mobile and desktop, and while on desktop it only allows for managing IRs and NAMM captures, even though it should allow for patch editing, on mobile it in fact unlocks patch editing and the drum machine feature. More on that on the UI and software chapter. The small color screen on the unit is excellent. It's large enough to be readable even on stage, while maintaining the small footprint. The tuner option is also very good. The fact that it's a color screen makes the tuner a joy to use. It's pretty accurate, not the best tuner I've used, not as accurate as the one on the Boss GT1000 Core for example, but from my experience I'd say it's good enough even for live gigs. The knob on the right, called Para for parameter I'm guessing, changes patches up and down when turned and activates the Bluetooth pairing mode when held. And about patches, there's 100 slots on the units, but the first 50 are taken by the factory presets, the second 50 are open to be used for user patches. As soon as you hold the button, the signal starts flashing. You can immediately connect it to your phone and start editing patches. And if you press the parameter knob just once, you go into a sort of system settings menu where you can do things like change the output volume of the unit and a few other utilities. And lastly, if you're interested in using this in a live context, there's a few different and very interesting ways in which you can program the foot switch. The default method is the 099, in which you press down on the foot switch and it continuously moves up the list. The second method is 09, in which it moves up continuously but restarts to the preset you started with after 9 presses. Then it's the AZ method, in which you can assign whichever presets to a list and it'll scroll continuously through the ones you selected. The CTL mode allows you to turn off the effect on a patch, and the tuner mode basically makes it so that you can turn on the tuner with just one press instead of holding the foot switch. All in all, this is a very comprehensive list of different ways to use the foot switch, which I think will satisfy most players. The quality of the amp sounds on the GP-5 is kind of all over the place. First off, this unit will sound miles better with custom IRs. For the sound examples in this video, I'm using a cab from an IR packed by GGD called Zilla Cabs, and these IRs improved my experience with the GP-5 drastically. I've included comparisons of the GGD IR versus the stock IRs in all of the short sound comparisons in this video, so you can hear the difference for yourself. Some of the amp models included are in fact pretty good, while others are pretty bad. I really liked a few amp models, particularly the EV51, which I'm guessing is a 5150, and the Dark Twin, which I would assume is a black-face twin reverb. These two were my favorites, and I found others that I liked, but a few of the models were disappointing, even with the Zilla cab. At least to my ears. When it comes to the NAMM captures, it's a complicated conversation. In general, I like NAMM a lot. I've used it as a plugin in Logic and really enjoyed some of the captures, and I especially like the fact that it's an open source project. But the implementation on the GP-5 was not successful in my view, at least at this point in time. Valeton included a number of NAMM captures with the unit, and for my taste these captures were not great. I tried a lot of them and thought they were inferior to just using the normal amp models with my custom GGD IRs. But what about installing custom NAMM captures? Well, I did try that. I tried in every way I could. I tried installing them via USB from my Mac on the official Valeton Suite app for Mac, and it didn't work. Quick but important correction, I was just about to say that importing external NAM files into the GP5 doesn't work, however, it absolutely does work. I was just testing it again while editing this video to make sure it didn't work when I figured out what was happening. Turns out a new file type for NAM was released very recently called A2, which stands for Architecture 2 according to this Tone Junkie video, which I recommend watching if you want more details. This new file type is of course not yet compatible with the GP5, and that's why the apps were hanging when I tried to load the files. And after testing multiple A1 NAM captures for a few hours from the website Tone 3000, turns out they absolutely improved the quality of the amp sounds in the unit by a substantial amount. I think it sounds even better than with external IRs. Everything I said in the video before and after this point still stands, just keep in mind that using external NAM captures improves the amp sounds quite a bit. Also, make sure to download the A1 files to use with the GP5 and not the new A2. Alright, back to the video. Valeton says on their website that there are over 100 high-quality effects on the GP5. However, I counted them manually and only found 57, so I'm not sure if I'm missing something or if they're also counting cabs and amp models as effects. But where effects are concerned, as far as I could tell, there's only 57 of them. There's a lot of effects, yes, and they're totally usable, yes, but they're not high quality in the same sense that TONEX 1 or the Boss GT1000 Core are high quality. Those units have really nice effects that sound great on recordings and can even replace expensive pedals like Strymon or others. The effects on the GP5 are not close to that standard of quality. In my opinion, I would say these are usable effects that can do the job, but will start to show their sonic limitations pretty quickly when compared to more expensive units like the ones I mentioned, or even high quality plugins like Neural DSP. The amount of effects Valeton included here is very impressive and they're usable, but the quality of these effects is not the best and certainly not enough for a professional recording or live shows. But let's also not forget this is an $80 unit. As for what types of effects are included, there's pretty much everything. The categories are fixed and as far as I could tell, you can't move the order around. There's 10 total slots in the signal chain and you'll find a noise gate in the first slot, boosts, compressors and pitch effects on the second slot, distortion pedals on the third, EQs on the seventh, modulations on the 8th, delays on number 9 and reverbs on number 10. To recap, there's a lot of effects on the GP5, which should cover most utilities for most players, but the quality of the effects is not the best, and unlike stated on the Valeton website, there's only 57 of them, not over 100. Again, if I'm missing something, let me know in the comments. The UI of the pedal is actually very good. Everything's easy to understand and you can get the hang of the unit in just a few minutes. But this is where things become slightly concerning for me. Unfortunately, there's no way of actually editing any of the patches, creating new ones, or editing any of the effects on the pedal itself. The only way to edit anything inside the unit is via the mobile app for Android and iPhone. From what I've seen in other channels, it also used to be possible to edit on Mac, but I haven't been able to edit anything from my Mac, and the user manual itself says it's mobile app only. And I have to say, this is a concerning decision for me. I haven't tried any other Valeton products yet, so I don't know if this is a one-off or if other units also include this limitation. But Valeton not offering basic and fundamental functionality of the unit on the unit itself is to me a big problem. I understand this is a budget unit and sacrifices need to be made for the sake of the price point, but not including a way of editing sounds from the unit itself seems like a step too far for me. But let me be very clear. I use apps on all my modelers because most of them are not that easy to use from the unit itself. But all the other products I've tried, both personally and here on the channel, all have a way, even if very convoluted, of editing patches on the unit. The reason this is concerning to me is because if either Valeton removes the app from app stores, the company goes bankrupt, or in time the GP5 simply stops being supported, users will have no way at all to edit anything on the unit and will be locked into whatever sounds they happen to have in the unit at the time. And while I think it's reasonable to expect that in time apps will simply stop supporting old units and some functions will in fact be lost, the ability to edit sounds shouldn't be something that users can ever be locked out of. But I also understand this is a more personal take on product ownership and corporate ethics that some of you may agree with me on and some may not really care. And that's totally valid as well. So putting my concerns aside for a second, I think the app is really easy to use and very responsive and even aesthetically quite pleasing. I just don't understand what's going on with the desktop app. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be able to edit sounds from the computer or not. So to recap, the UI and software side of this product is in fact very good. If you don't mind that the ability to edit sounds on the unit is tied to an app that may or may not be supported in the future, then you'll be fine. If you do mind, however, perhaps consider buying something else. So who is this pedal for? The Valeton GP-5 is actually a very interesting product at a very specific price point. Being at the $80 range, the price would indicate it's an entry-level product, and that's exactly who I would recommend this unit for. The GP-5 would make an excellent first entry into the world of modeling for a beginner or someone who wants a secondary rig, maybe to take on a trip or use in a different part of the house, for example. The GP-5 has lots of functionality that can cover most bases for a lot of players, has decent sound quality, which can be vastly improved with external IRs, and a huge selection of effects that, while not sonically impressive, are very useful. As a practice tool, a beginner pedal, or a secondary rig, I think the GP-5 is a great product that combines a great price, a vast array of features, and a very high build quality for the price point. However, if you want a tool for professional use, either in the studio or on stage, I would encourage you to look elsewhere. The sound quality of the amp models and the effects is not to the same level of other units like the TONEX one, and the price difference will certainly be worth it for a more professional use case. All in all, I enjoyed my time with the GP-5 and will probably make a few more videos. It's a nice unit with great functionality and a decent sound, but the fact that Valeton locked the ability to edit parameters behind a proprietary app is not something I'm willing to cope with, and for that reason I'm sending it back to Amazon. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and let me know in the comments what do you think about the GP-5. Anyway, thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.